say this later, let me say now that we would love to have you come to the Friends of the Library meetings. We meet every third Tuesday at noon. Bring your sandwich. The Friends serve dessert and tea or water, and we have very good programs. All of the money that we make from your dues and from book sales that we have go to help the library. Specifically, maybe the children's library more than most anything else. But anyway, welcome. We don't have very many empty seats, and we're so glad you could come. The candidates, welcome to you too. The first thing I would like to do is welcome Troop 345 from Morrison Heights Baptist Church, who will present the flag.
Attention. Color guard, forward, march. Color guard, halt. Color guard, left face. Color guard, forward, march. Color guard, halt. Color guard, left, right face. Post the colors. Salute. Pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Color guard dismissed. You may proceed.
The candidate to my left is Jerry Kerner. He's running on the Democratic ticket. On my right, we have Phil Fisher, Tony Highsall, and Ricky Garrett, who are all running on the Republican ticket. We were expecting the man who just walked in the door. Rodney Carter. Mr. Carter, would you come over here? We have a place for you. Clinton is a very diverse city, so we can have a lot of issues. So what we're planning to do tonight is to ask general questions of the candidates about our community in general. We would like for you to write the question on the card that were given to you by Freda or Wayne, and they will be circulating among you, and we'll get them to our moderator, Mrs. Hobb. The questions can be to one candidate or to all of the candidates, whichever you prefer. And we are asking that you limit your questions to something that would be applicable citywide rather than something of a personal nature. Save that for a one-on-one with the candidate or your alderman, please. What we're going to do is have a 2-minute self-introduction from each of the candidates. Then Mrs. Hobb will pose questions that you have asked. And we're giving 1 minute for each person to answer. We understand that 1 minute doesn't seem like a very long time, but we have a lot of questions and we want to give everybody a fair chance. At the end, about 8:30, or when the questions run out, whichever comes first, we will ask the candidates to wrap up with another 2-minute time. Mrs. Hobb, do you have the questions ready?
Yes.
Okay.
If there are any other questions, I need them now.
If there are any other questions, hold your cards up and we'll collect them now.
Sure, go ahead.
My first. Okay, my first question.
Why? You're going to have to come up here. Otherwise, no, we're going to do the introductions first. Okay. Now, I'm going to go sit down and ask, does it matter to you which person goes first? How about if we start over here, to my left? And we do ask you to use the microphone because there are some people in here that can't hear very well. So, Mr. Carter.
Thank you. I'm Rodney Carter. I'm a resident of Clinton since 1988. I'm a pastor since 1997. And I'm running for mayor. Thank you. Had told me that on Thursday night too. I'm running for mayor because I believe I can do a lot of great things for our city to take our city to the next level of excellence. There are a lot of ideas that I have that once they come to pass, you'll see Clinton turn into a home seeker's paradise, a city that we would love to cherish and call home. So basically, that's me in a nutshell. All right, thank you. My name is Jerry Kerner, running for mayor, as we all are. Most important thing to me is that we get an agenda item in the Board of Aldermen meeting to allow anyone, any resident of the city to come and speak to the board and the mayor if they have a concern, a problem, question, anything. So hopefully any small issues can be dealt with, and we can also have a little more democracy than we have now, where things seem to happen and we're told after the fact rather than before, and we don't seem to be a lot of concern with what we want to do, just kind of things that happen. I also want to be able to fix the brick streets downtown. I live in Old Town, and there's quite a few asphalt patches in the brick streets, and those are really a very special centerpiece for Old Town. And I think that we need to preserve, protect, and come up with a funding source for that. I realize that will cost some amount of money. And
Thank you.
Okay, I'm out of time.
I'm going to get a little closer to you. I'm Ricky Garrett, and I'm running for mayor of Clinton because I believe I have the state and national experience and the leadership skills and the leadership style to take our very good city and help turn it into the great city that I believe Clinton can become. But I think, and we are a good city. We have the best public school system in the state. We have a wonderful, authentic Old Town. We have a beautiful university right in our midst. And we've got a wonderful record of public safety in Clinton. So we are a good town. But we can be so much more than that. And that's what I would like to see us do. And I believe that my experience and skills will help to get us there. That's a fast 2 minutes. But anyway, thank you very much, and I look forward to visiting with you in a minute.
Tonight there are 5 candidates here for mayor. One of us will be the next mayor. In the Republican primary, you have 3 choices. You have Mr. Fisher, you have Mrs. Garrett, and you have myself. But it's time tonight to talk about some real issues. It's time to talk about voting records, and it's time to talk about engagement records in this community. The 3rd choice that you have for mayor is myself. And I have been committed to have faithfully served this city for 16 years. And I have voted for city services and for public education every year in office. My commitment has been very passionate in every way, in every aspect, and every day. Also, I am the only candidate for mayor who has the true credentials and qualifications to seek this office. I have dedicated myself, and no other candidate can claim the qualifications and experience that I have. I am truly the only candidate that can walk into the mayor's office on July the 1st and do the business of this city and move this city forward. Thank you. And we had a malfunction?
No, it's not a word.
Okay.
You still got time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I heard it leave.
Sorry now.
But the mayor's office is no place for zero passion and on-the-job training. So my name is Tony Hysaw. I ask you for your support and your vote on May the 7th. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Phil Fisher. I'm running a Republican ticket for mayor of Clinton. And before I forget it, if I don't say it now, later I'll say it now. I ask for your vote in the May 7th Republican primaries. I think the next mayor of Clinton needs to have three traits, and I believe I have all three of them. First, he needs to be experienced. I have experience from 1993 to 2008 as an alderman in the city of Clinton. I have also served as your county supervisor from 2008 until today, serving on the Hinds County Board of Supervisors. And finally, I've served at the strategic level in two tours of combat duty. The second time I was a senior logistician in Afghanistan, feeding 183,000 people a day, commanding 43,000, and was responsible every day for the same number, for more trucks on the road in Afghanistan than Walmart has on the trucks in the entire United States. So I think this lofty responsibilities and the areas that I worked in and the levels I've worked in are a good qualification for this job as mayor. Second thing you need is a mayor that is transparent. Since I've been your supervisor, I have written monthly newspaper articles, giving you a chance to read those articles so that you can know what's going on with your government, because I believe it is your money. Third, you have to have a mayor who has a record of accomplishment and has been able to do things, to take something from an idea through the process to completion. And I hope to talk to you about some of those things tonight. But at the city level, that includes the Parkway, bringing it out of the Park Planning and Zoning Board. That includes street paving that was brought out and put in the budget. That includes softball fields. And that includes the complete remake of the county budget, so that now we actually have money in the county budget without a tax increase, where in years past we've struggled. And I did that through priority-driven, zero-based budgeting. That's something that experience gives you and helps you understand how it works. So I hope you'll listen to what we have to say tonight. I hope you give us fair consideration, and I thank you for being here.
For all candidates, what are your plans for achieving environmental stability in Clinton? And we'll start with Dr. Garrett and go down the line and then come on this side. You can use the mic.
Well, all of us know that environmental issues are very important. And as I've often said in my remarks during the campaign, we've got to have a vision of what we want this community to be like. And I think all of us probably have some idea in our head of what we want that vision to be. But until we develop a plan for developing that vision, then we're not going to be able to do that. I think we've done a good job over the last few years with recycling. I know I have been a recycler all the years that we've been doing that in Clinton, and I certainly think that that's important. But I think we've got to really look at the big picture in terms of environmental issues and make sure that whether we're talking about water or air or any other aspect of the environment, that we as a city are doing whatever we need to do to make Clinton as environmentally friendly as possible.
Thank you.
Would you repeat the question, please? You probably should repeat it for each candidate.
What are your plans for achieving environmental sustainability in Clinton?
Okay, environmental stability or sustainability has a lot of federal regulations right now. You have the EPA, the DEQ that heavily monitor that. Our wastewater emissions. And another thing that we need to be very concerned about is solid waste disposal. And Mr. Fisher has voted last fall to double the size of a landfill in our southern border. And I do not support that. And as mayor, I would take actions to see how we can not have that double in size. So I thank you for this question. And even in our subdivision regulations, we have environmental requirements, particularly in stormwater drainage. So there's a lot of regulations we deal with that already govern environmental stability, and recycling is one of them. Thank you.
I think as we look at the environment, we need to recognize that the biggest problem Clinton has facing it right now is water and sewer and the ability to maintain a water and sewer system. Nothing shuts the city down faster than not having the capability for this water and sewer. I'm in favor of a regional water and sewer plan. I think we're going to have to look at that, and we're going to have to evaluate what we can do with that and how we can construct that. Because without doing that, we're almost at capacity now at all of our facilities. And if we don't start looking ahead and start looking 20 years down the road and backing up, we're going to find ourselves in serious problems. And so I would look for that, and I would also include in a regional facility built in Clinton, maybe bringing in other cities, Bolton, Raymond, in order to help pay for that. And we're going to have to look at where we can pump the sewage, because the creek that we have right now is near capacity. And we're going to have to look, perhaps going to as far away as the Big Black River. So there's a lot of expense and there's a lot of issues there that we have to look into. Thank you.
Our wastewater treatment facilities are not at capacity. That's an incorrect statement.
That's fine.
I think for air quality is an environmental thing. I'm not sure that we have much that we can do about that. We have cars, we drive cars, but I don't think that's a local issue. We do have sewers, as mentioned here, and I think the number of people that are using septic tanks, we should try to reduce that, because that is going to something that's going to head for the groundwater eventually. So we do need to do that. Other environmental things like bike pathways have been mentioned before. We would need a funding source for that. We would need to have a funding source to maintain them, assuming we could get a federal grant for it. But I think Clinton is in very good shape. We do have some things that we need to improve on a little bit.
Environmental quality. There are a lot of things that we can do. Thank you. There are a lot of things that we can do to upgrade our or increase the quality of our environmental uses, as you heard everyone say. There are federal monies that we can get for some of that. I know for the wastewater, those are things. That's one of the things that's top of my list, because I understand that one of our subdivisions in Clinton is in trouble when it comes to their wastewater system, and so I've already found the funding that we can get on from the President Obama's 2009 Rebuild America program. So there are initiatives like that we just need to go look for and find them. And some of that is loan money that you have to pay back with interest that comes back to you. Some of it is grant money that you don't have to pay back. Some of it is matching funds. So thank you.
Again, a question to all candidates. Would you, as mayor, supporting the raising of property tax millage in order to increase the police and fire protection within the city's corporate limits? We'll start with Mr. Fisher.
No, I would not. Going back again to what I mentioned earlier, priority-driven, zero-based budgeting. We did that finally this year in the with the Board of Supervisors. After years of struggling with the budget, after years of hearing our people tell us that we were cutting the budget to the bone, there was no more money, I finally got the supervisors to take responsibility for setting the priorities and then making all of the department heads bring back their budgets with complete questioning, with complete solutions to the programs that they've been using. And are they still there, or are they still viable? Now, what we did is we increased our surplus from $250,000 to $2.5 million. We added a percentage of the mill to the budget, or to the economic development budget, so that we could do more things for the economic development of the county. And all of this was done without a tax increase. We just have to go through the budget. We have to, as elected officials, take charge of the budget, and we have to make sure that we are leading and not following the department heads.
Could y'all not speak so loud while I'm talking?
No, perfect.
No, could y'all not speak so loud?
Yeah, I agree.
It's just distracting because I'm trying to think.
I know. I'm too loud. I don't think it's showing.
No, I would not favor an increase in tax millage to support any increase in the city's budget. We cannot put the burden on rooftops to do this. Our city's budget, or general fund budget, is about $13 million. And public safety, or police and fire combined, consume more than half of that. So the rest of city government runs on less than half of the budget. We've had flat revenue in the last 7 years, which means we have flat budgets in the last 7 years. There's not a lot of room to make big changes in our budget, and most economic forecasters say that this economic cycle is not going to end until the end of this decade. So we've got to be very prudent in what we do. A plan of economic development will help raise the tax base.
I too would not vote for a tax increase. I believe that what we need to be focusing on in Clinton is raising our tax base through bringing in economic development. And I think you begin with industry, because industry creates jobs. And then the increase in jobs brings about an increase in the demand for rooftops, which then leads to the demand for retail development. And we can increase our budget in Clinton. And we need not only to be bringing in more police officers, we need to be paying the police officers we have now at a level that will keep them from going to other cities in the community. So I would not be in favor of that, but I do believe that we can raise our budget. I did it at the Nurses Association. We doubled our budget in the 7.5 years I was there and put $500,000 in reserves, and I know we can do that with the city as well.
Well, all those in favor of raising your taxes, raise your hand. Okay. No. I haven't really heard anybody in town, formally or informally, say that the fire department was lacking funding. I think they've done really well in the last few years with capital improvements. Built fire department. There's a building still being built. Police department's got some remodeling going on there. They got new cars. So I don't see that there's a particularly critical need to increase the budget at this point. As our revenues go up, economy improves overall in the country, then I think that we can look at those things and pay for the things that we can afford. And they're definitely, top of the list. Thank you. Just say ditto with everybody.
I'm not in favor of increasing taxes, because right now, the taxes that we have, there are a lot of residents who can't afford to pay them. So we need to try to get income up, and city income and personal income. Personal income through job growth. Okay. Personal income through job growth, and city income through development. I'm all for that.
Okay, I'm going to try to combine two questions here. As a leader of Clinton, bringing jobs, investment, and wealth creation is critical to growth. What is your vision and priority to accomplish this task? We'll start with Mr. Heimsaw.
We definitely need to grow our economy in Clinton. And there are several ways to do that. Retail and restaurant development will not grow our economy. You can't depend on them. Industrial development with plants, the problem there is that we typically exempt manufacturing plants from city taxes for up to 10 years. So that's not going to be an immediate impact on growing our economy. We need to find an institutional investor in our community that will make a big difference in our town. And I have some short-term plans and some very long-term plans that will help in that manner. I think we need to increase the level of health care that's available in our community. We need to work with our medical practitioners, our doctor base, and get more than general practitioners or family practitioners here. We need to get some specialists here and grow that slowly in time, and then maybe long term we can have a community hospital there, but that's long term.
Again, I do think it is about economic development. I do think we have to bring in some large businesses into Clinton, as well as residential and retail development. I also think that we need to, as I said earlier, create a vision for what we want for Clinton. If we want to continue to have young people with children coming into Clinton to support our tax base and to keep our schools at a high level, we're going to have to provide the kinds of amenities and facilities that young people with children want. And so I think we can increase our tax base by continuing to bring in families, whether they're retirees or whether they're young families with children. But the top priority has got to be economic development. The mayor has got to be the point person for that, and we've also got to have a professional economic developer for the city of Clinton.
I think everybody's in favor of economic development. I am too. I do have some exceptions. I don't want a fast food restaurant across from City Hall, but I do have a degree in regional government and planning, and when I studied that, cities and counties and special districts are able to use zoning to create places where people can do particular activities. Cities can decide where they want these activities done. But the cities don't get to decide that Target's going to go here and a Honda dealer's going to go there or whatever. These are businesses. These are companies. They have their own concerns. They have their own reasons for being, and they all want to make money. So I think Clinton needs to be a little more friendly to businesses. See if we can bring people in, restaurants, industry, obviously. But those are not things that we can decide. We need to work on those probably as an entire group and not just one person. Thank you.
What was the question again? Any question?
As leader of the city, bringing jobs, investment, and wealth creation is crucial to growth. What is your vision and priority to accomplish this task?
Okay. Some economists say that small business is a main driving force for economy. So
use the mic.
Thank you. I need to remember that. Don't glue my arm right here so I remember. Some economists say that small business is a main driver for economy. Okay. I don't know how true that I've been hearing that a lot lately, but I know that we should seek small business, large business, whatever business that we can get to the city, and so that we can, one, put our people to work, two, create affordable housing. Okay, those are two main things that's in my mind, and if we can do that, we will increase our city's revenues. And will increase the quality of life in our city. Those are the main things I think that we need to focus on. Job growth, and housing development. Thank you.
As your mayor, I'll go out and sell the city. I will go to the community, I will go to the businesses, and I will ask them to come to Clinton. I won't wait for them to come to us. We need retail and industrial development. I won't exclude anything. If we can bring in health development, that's great too. Everything we can bring in is good. We don't need to exclude something. I would go and I would sell the city. I would tell them why this is a great city. Why we live here and why we're proud of this city. But there's also a reality here. It's been said earlier that the sales revenue in Clinton has been level for the last few years. That's not true. The sales level in Clinton has actually reduced 4.7% since 2006. Jackson has gone down 29.6%. So you say, well, it must be the economy. Madison's gone up 25.4%. Brandon's gone up 4%. Why? Because they're out selling their city. They're out producing results from the actions that they take. And that's exactly what I plan to do as your mayor. To go out and sell the city and tell everybody why we're here. Because this is a great place to be and we like it here.
Okay. The next question is, what plans do you have for cleaning up Clinton? Down Highway 80, two of the biggest shopping centers have backs to Highway 80 with one overflowing garbage, and we will soon have that kind of rubbish going on onto the highway. We'll start with Mr. Kerner.
Well, I have been driving around Clinton quite a bit lately, trying to meet everybody. These things I have not noticed. I'm not really sure what places you're referring to. But we do have code enforcement, the Community Development Department code enforcement, and we do have a lot of regulations for things like that. So we may need to point them in the right direction and have them enforce the rules that we have. But I believe that we probably have plenty of rules to take care of that. Thank you.
I've seen some of the things. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I've seen some of those things. But I would encourage the citizens to feel free to come and talk to the city officials or even the city workers when you see issues like that. There's something we miss. I understand that, but. You hear Tony Hightower sometimes talk about Leadership Clinton, and he was active in Leadership Clinton because when I was there, he was there almost every day making sure that we had everything together. So I appreciate him for that. But I would encourage the Leadership Clinton to make that a project for the students that go through that class. Cleaning up the city. Because if you notice, the things that they do, what the city does, adopt them. Because it was my project when I was Leadership Clinton to put signs saying "Welcome to Clinton" on the east side of the city coming in, and now you see them.
From the very beginning of the campaign, I've talked a good bit about Highway 80 and about Clinton Boulevard. Although I think it's critically important to develop Old Town, and I have talked about developing it as a destination, I believe that we have got to take Clinton Boulevard and turn that area into a very attractive avenue, a retail avenue with sidewalks, lighting, that will make it more attractive for businesses to want to come in and much more attractive for us to walk down there or shop or whatever. I also think Highway 80 can be turned into a boulevard by putting a median down the middle and sidewalks on each side, and that way the gateway into Clinton, which is what Highway 80 is, will become a very attractive area that too will promote pedestrian walking and biking and other amenities that I think people in Clinton would enjoy.
There's all kind of different litters that go on our highways. One is trash, or people throw out of cars, or maybe a place like Kroger or Walmart where customers let these T-shirt bags go and they get blown everywhere. I think the stores do a good job of controlling their trash that they do. Another area to think of litter is sign litter. And we've done something about that in Clinton to clean up the sign litter. And we also need to make some other visual improvements, such as on Highway 80. One thing we can do in the Mississippi College area is to enhance Highway 80 with a median that draws attention to Mississippi College. Some parts of Highway 80 east of the Parkway would be very difficult to put a boulevard because there's too much traffic coming in and out. If we had room to put a frontage road or a service road, that would be the way to do it, but we don't.
When that question was asked, the first thing that popped in my mind was the area behind the big lots. I've looked at that a number of times, and the highway is higher than their back door. And I thought, well, how high a fence would we have to build here to screen that? So what I've come up with, and this is kind of holds throughout the city, instead of looking at businesses as one size fits all, I propose that we look at Clinton Boulevard, Highway 80, the Parkway, Northside Drive, all as separate business districts. And we meet with those business owners and we talk to them about what they think they need the city to do within the bounds of what government can do to help them make their business area more attractive. And then the city can talk about what we feel like needs to be done in order to help make the views more attractive. And I think working together with our citizens, with our businesses, is a lot better way to accomplish this. And I believe that we can do that. But like you, I drive around and I see and I think, you know what, we need to really address this and we need to address that. Putting the trash bins behind gates has been a good thing. We need to do more of that. But I think that we need to sit down with the businesses and talk to them about what's possible and what they can do to assist us in this, and then what we can do to assist them also.
I think we have time to get this question in, which is sort of in the same vein. What to do about slumlords and their property? And will the streets be striped? They are badly needed. Let's just try Mr. Heisel.
Well, addressing the issue of slumlords or landlords would be a more polite term. There are a number of substandard houses in this community that are rental homes. The city is presently working on enacting a rental ordinance which will greatly improve this situation, where landlords are required to have their rental units at standard levels of living, and they'll be inspected annually to begin with, and be inspected every time a renter changes. But we can control our community, or we can manage our community, and it's through appearance ordinances and through this rental ordinance. Now, on the issue of striping, we try to address streets as they're needed, and we will, if you have some complaints about striping, we will take particular attention to that. But we do have an overall program for that process.
Could you repeat the question, please?
What to do about slumlords and their property? Will the streets be striped? They are badly needed.
I think the first thing we need to recognize is that most of the people who own rental equipment do a good job, rental property do a good job of keeping it up. It's that 5% that are the problem people, and we need to address those people one-on-one. Having a rental ordinance, it may be a great idea, and charging people every time the unit turns over infers that there are enough city employees in that department to be there when the rental person calls. You can't hold up somebody from renting their property because you don't have somebody to go out there that moment to go inspect it. So I would be opposed to that part of this new rental ordinance because I don't think the city can support that right now at its current manning levels. As far as striping is concerned, it's all part of the city's infrastructure system. I put $500,000 a year in the city system in 1995. It stayed there until 2008 when I left to go to the Board of Supervisors, and then that money was taken away and something else was done with it. That stopped street paving, that stopped striping, and now we're having to get started back up. I understand money, well, I know money was put back in it this year for that very reason. But we are behind there. We're 3 years behind, and it's a safety issue that we need to address. Once again, if you have specific places, I would ask that you contact your alderman and ask them to look into that so that we can move into that immediately. Thank you.
We do have a lot of rental property in Clinton. I think you would probably be surprised by how many rental houses there are in Clinton, and I do think the rental ordinance is going to help with that. But again, I think we have to think big picture. I think what we want to do is create here a city that is so fabulous, so desirable, so appealing, that families with children, retirees, and others are going to want to come over here. They're going to want to buy a home and settle here in Clinton. And the more we can do to create this city that is appealing to people, then the less rental property you're going to have.
Homeowners and rental property is part of what's given for here. Definitely rental properties are a little bit harder because the people that live there don't necessarily believe that they have an investment in it, and we can't really expect them to spend their own money on property that they don't own or they don't get any increase from. But we do need things to be presentable and to look nice. So I think that I'm not aware of any of these things. I haven't seen any places that I thought really looked bad. But again, if we had an agenda item at the board meeting, people who noticed something, saw something, could bring it up to the board, and then we could prioritize those things and address them in a timely manner. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with everybody that we need to do something when it comes to the rental property. One of the things we can do is get with those landlords. Yeah, I wouldn't call us slumlords because I would want them to, to get on an adversarial type relationship and not want to be cooperative. But I would like to get with the landlords just like I would like to get with the business leaders and the minister leaders of our city and come up with programs and things that we can do to attack that particular problem. There are going to be a lot of problems that need to be addressed, and we just need to come together, sit down and reason together to solve those problems. And that's just one of those things that we'll just get all the landlords together in a consortium and solve those problems. Thank you.
Do you have some significant projects in mind where federal grants will benefit the city? Let's start with Mr. Kerr.
For any capital project, federal grants are obviously the place to look first. I believe that we can definitely do something with the brick streets. Not sure exactly what grant it would come under, but I think that we can look and get some federal money for that. We've talked about street beautification and some other things, and bike paths. Definitely, those things are probably liable for federal grants, but we do need to be able to maintain those things once we get them. So we need to look at that and do more of a life cycle sort of budgeting process, and not just let's go buy something and then not be able to maintain it, because we don't want it to look worse than it did before. Thank you.
I think one of the things I do bring to the table from my 12 years on the State College Board and 8 years with the Nurses Association and my many years of lobbying both on the state and national level is a knowledge of how to go to Washington, how to go to the state legislature, and acquire funding. And I believe I have the contacts to do that. And I do believe that there is federal funding that we can use for a number of projects. I know on the biking and pedestrian paths, there's some discussion about creating a 501c3 that would start the ball rolling in terms of getting grant funding for that particular project. But I do think there are other projects that we can go to Washington for or go to our state legislature for. But again, you've got to have those contacts. You've got to have those relationships. And I've said over and over again in the campaign, it's all about relationships, and I believe I have those.
The city has been very successful in the past 16 years at using federal money. For instance, the Clinton Visitor Center. It's a $2 million project. It was done with 100% federal money. No local investment, but the property belongs to the city of Clinton. It was transportation enhancement grants. We have gone through the federal sources for transportation money. We worked through the Mississippi, Central Mississippi Planning and Development District, who is very knowledgeable in federal grant programs. We work through our consulting engineers who are very knowledgeable in transportation grants or transportation funding. So we've been very successful in doing that. And we will continue to be successful because earmarks are no longer possible. They've been outlawed. We're going to have to rely on federal grants to do a lot of bells and whistles in our community. We have been successful. We have a great congressional delegation, and we rely on them heavily in this process also. So, thank you. Okay, my time's up.
I've used a grants administrator with the county. It's a person that I trust, and I would bring him on board, and his fee would be paid out of the grants. Now, as you know, this is a weak mayor, strong alderman government. So until I talk to the alderman about specifically this person that's on board, I don't want to get into names, but he has extensively made a career out of it. And he has brought millions of dollars to Pascagoula and to other cities throughout the state for their projects. I think what we do is in the first meeting, we sit down with the Board of Aldermen and the mayor and the department heads, and we say, what are the priorities and what do we need to go after federal dollars for? And we start that process now. This has been going on for 20 years that I can speak of, since 1993. And I think it's been a successful program. But we also have the input of all the aldermen involved as well as the department heads so that we're all in line and we're all going in the same direction on the grants that we're looking for. And then we're able to direct to that person the specific areas of grants that we need. And in that way, I think we can bring about the most amount of grants and the most amount of money very quickly.
Everything we can get as far as grant funding, as I mentioned earlier about the 2009 President Obama's initiative to rebuild America. There's a lot of funding, a lot of initiatives in there that we can get grant money. Some is matching funds, some is loan money, but it's really not a loan because when you pay it back, I think it's like 5% interest. And you pay it back, it goes back into a fund that the city can use for the next project, a related project. So there are funds like that. The person who has been writing grants for me wrote for a number of years for Atlantic City, New Jersey. She transferred down here to Mississippi. She started writing grants for Toulouse College, and then later started her own business called the Funding Connection. And she's already assured me that she's ready to start writing for the city of Clinton. So there's money out there. And we know, I don't have the expertise personally, but I know people that do. Okay, thank you.
All right, this is a rather long question. Over the past 5 years, the city of Clinton has missed out on many thousands of dollars in tax revenue due to the turf management policy and field closure policy currently employed at Traceway Park. As mayor, would you be willing to review the current policies and actively seek to partner with local youth sport associations to bring events to Clinton that promote our city, drive tax revenues, and showcase our facilities?
Yes, definitely. I would work closely with Mississippi High School Activities Association and other entities to bring sporting activities to the city and review the laws and find out, why they're closing. I didn't know. I really didn't know that. But yes, I would do what I can to search and find out what we can do to get our facilities back up and running like they're supposed to be, and to create better facilities and I think every park ought to have walking facilities. I think there should be walking trails all over our city, because when we beautify the city, people are going to want to walk in every neighborhood and enjoy our city. Thank you.
The city's Parks and Recreation Department has grown into a real Parks and Recreation Department over the last 20 years. It's no longer a representative of the association, baseball, soccer, and softball, but it offers many other activities, and I think we should expand on those activities. At the same time, the use of the fields, if you're talking about playing in the rain or practicing in the rain, no, I'm not going to tear the fields up for that. If you're talking about a weekend tournament that's going on and it rains Saturday night and we've got people from all over the countryside as they come to these tournaments, yes, I would think we would need to continue the tournament and play it through. But I think we have a healthy turf management program. I think we can actively pursue whatever tournaments we're not currently getting now. But I don't think that we need to, I do think that we need to continue the tournaments when they are on the weekends that they're designated to be on, so that we can complete those tournaments. But I'm not in favor of practices or times like that when it's raining and we're just tearing the fields up. So, okay, thank you. Which way?
This issue of turf management has been a real issue in Clinton. But what you need to know is that the fields in Traceway Park are public property, and that they are owned by the citizens, and the citizens have put millions of dollars into those fields. And if the fields are not playable because of rain, they should not be played on. We should find alternative sites to play, and we have two excellent sites in Clinton, the high school field and Mississippi College field. We need to have those partners lined up in that event. But when a tournament is going on and it's rained Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Saturday, those fields will not be playable, tournament or not. But we've got to find alternatives for those teams that are here. So I fully support our turf management program. We have experts on staff that manage that, and we should rely on their judgment when a decision is made to play or not play, or to practice or not practice.
I do think we should be using our recreational facilities to help boost tourism in our city. Other cities like Meridian and many others in Mississippi do bring in a great deal of tourism money through recreation, and I definitely think we can do that. I think one of the issues in Clinton over the last few years has been that the associations who operate the games sometimes have been at odds with the city, and there's been some confrontation over the fields being used, when they were to be used, how they were to be maintained, how often they were to be used, and so forth. And of course you can't just use your fields until they're worn out. And we do have a lot of teams coming in from surrounding areas using our fields. And as long as I think we charge an appropriate fee for them to do that, it certainly will help the situation as well.
Well, we do have a park and recreation department, and it is their job to protect, preserve, maintain the fields that we have. They would be the experts. I wouldn't be wanting to tell them what we should be doing or what we should not be doing. I would rely on them. Same with the schools. I would rely on the superintendent and other departments. I think we have good departments. I think we have good people, and if we let them do their jobs without interfering from political concerns or personal concerns, I think that we'll all be better off, and we'll have better use of all of our facilities. Thank you.
I'll start with Dr. Garrett. Are you in favor of beer sales on Sundays?
Wow, what a loaded question in Clinton, Mississippi. I actually believe that, as I said earlier, we do need to provide amenities in Clinton that are appealing to all age groups, whether they're baby boomers like me or young families with children. And I do think that we all want fine dining establishments in Clinton, and we want to have places where we can go and enjoy a fine meal and be able to visit with friends and so forth. And I personally would not have an objection to having the sale of alcohol on Sunday, because fine dining restaurants want to be open on Sunday, and you've got to be able to offer that if you want fine dining establishments in your community. And I will stop on that. Okay.
Yes. I just wanted to be clear. I don't personally drink alcohol, so it really doesn't matter to me. And as I said before, I lived here a year and a half before I knew that you couldn't buy anything on Sunday. And I thought people were teasing me because I got an accent and you all don't. But definitely, for restaurants, I think that if you look around, it is probably the reason we do not have like a Logan's, which has a bar and they're open on Sundays. Blue Rooster just came here. I talked to them on Thursday or Friday. They're not interested in being open on Sunday, so it's not a problem for them. But I think the restaurants that people are looking for do have bars. They are open on Sundays. And they're businesses. They need to make money. So if you want to drink, I think you should be allowed. If you don't want to drink, then you don't have to. Thank you.
Personally, I'm not in favor of beer sales on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. First, I'm not in favor of beer sales on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I don't drink. I don't. But if that's what the city wants when it comes to there are some decisions that you have to be made in the mayor's office that the mayor doesn't necessarily agree with, but is outnumbered by the board. So that happens. That's life. But no, I'm not in favor of beer sales.
Personally, I am not in favor of alcohol sales on Sunday because I believe it's the Lord's Day and we need to keep it holy. But as mayor, I don't make that decision. That's a decision by the Board of Aldermen. If it comes to the board and there's a consensus that there's a majority of vote there, it can go on the agenda and it can be enacted because the mayor is weak and the board is strong. But personally, I would not support the sale of alcohol on Sunday.
Back in the 90s, the issue came up about beer sales in Clinton in restaurants. I voted for that based on the Economic Development Director's statement that I can never bring a restaurant like Clintonians won't to town unless we have beer sales. So I voted for it. 4-3 vote. Where are the restaurants? They never came. Maybe they didn't go ask for them. I don't know what happened there. If you want to go to a restaurant, you want to have a drink, certainly that's up to you. It's your privilege, and then you should do so if you want to. If you choose not to, that's fine also. I haven't been shown that economic development makes a difference one way or the other with it. So My answer would be along the same lines. The board votes. If they have, if 4 votes there want to make it go, as when I was on the board and I voted, then I would go along with it. I wouldn't veto it. If there are not 4 votes there to put it, then I wouldn't push the issue. But I think that we have to make a decision. What do we want to be? What kind of community do we want to be? And if we want to be a community that has sales on Sunday for liquor, then we need to go in that direction and bring it forward. And if we don't want to be that kind of community, then we need to accept what we lose and move on to other things.
Okay, this question is for Mr. Fisher, Mr. Heisa, and Dr. Garrett, but if the gentleman would like to participate, we'll let you. There are 2 questions along this line that I've gotten from people, and I'm just going to sort of put them into one. Many Clintonians like a more modestly sized community. The current administration has sought relentlessly to expand the city. Do you intend to continue this policy? How big is big enough?
There's a certain reality in the world we live in today. You're either growing or you're dying. You can't be the same today as you are and as you would be in 10 years from now. You've got to grow. The city has to grow. This is a competitive world that we live in. If we want people to come into town, we have to provide for them the amenities that they're looking for. Biking, green trails, biking and walking trails. We have to provide small parks and things that people would like to have in town. And if that means that our boundaries grow as the population grows, I think this is a good thing. Because West Jackson is right over there. And we have to understand and control the growth. And we don't want a criminal-based growth. We want to have good growth come in. We want to have people who share our ideals, who share our values, who think the things that we think are important, and that's the type of community we want to have. But we can't remain the same size. We will regress. That is just as simple as it can be. We had this argument 20 years ago before the Parkway, and we will regress if we try to stay the same.
I too believe that you can't maintain the status quo and move forward. You just can't. But I do believe that that's why you need to have a vision of where you want your city to go, what you want it to look like. And then you develop a creative, innovative plan to get you there. And you put the right people in place who know how to do that and who know how to build partnerships and collaborations to make all of that happen. Because I think we do want to grow Clinton, but I think we want it to be a very controlled growth. We want to bring in the business and industry that we want to have here, and we need to decide right now, what is it that we want, and then we need to go after that very specific target. And by bringing in young families with children, I think we're going to grow at a way that we want to grow, and I think we ought to be cultivating those college students at Mississippi College too, in order to convince them that they want to reside here in Clinton too.
Well, I think there are 2 parts to that question. One is about annexation. One of my fundamental core beliefs is that the city has a right to protect its integrity. And we need to keep our city growing because we need to protect what gets developed right next to us. If subdivisions get developed close to us that are done by the county standards, they're not the same as the city standards, then we're going to have problems when we annex that area. But annexation, we took a big chunk off in 2004 and 2007. Our budget has got to grow a whole lot to do any more annexation anytime soon. But another part of that is controlling or managing the growth in Clinton. We're using the appearance ordinances to do that, and we're going to use the rental ordinance to do that. Without that rental ordinance in place, landlords will not do what we want them to do. There's no penalties involved. They won't do it.
I guess depending on your terminology of growth, I guess annexation is one. I personally am not for annexation if we, and I'm glad to hear that it's going to be a while before annexation comes. But I think growth, we have what we do have. We have our roads, we have our buildings. If we maintain what we have and build on what we have some small shopping centers that we can build on. Okay, I think we can achieve growth in that way and encourage job growth, which is going to encourage new housing starts, and it will grow in that way. So we can achieve growth without getting more land. We don't have to. Thank you.
I've heard, don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that people that have been annexed up to 20 years ago still do not have full city services, sewers, still on septic, don't have sewers. Well, I really think that we should fix that before we go out and grab anybody else. We need to keep our promises to people as a city. I don't know why that hasn't been done. I'm sure that money is involved. But I wouldn't be excited about getting more land and annexing other people that don't have city services until we get the people who already have lived here, who've already paid their taxes, having city services.
What do you think of the Common Core education that Washington, D.C. is wanting? I'll start with Dr. Garrett.
I actually was having a conversation with someone today about this, and you know, because I have spent years as a junior high school, and university teacher, and 12 years governing the 8 public universities in the state, I really feel like I know a lot about the curriculum and what's needed in schools. I do have some concerns about the Common Core. And I also have some concerns about the plan that the Clinton schools are considering to go to an academy model. Because I think the problem is even students who are juniors in college sometimes don't know what they want to be when they grow up. And when you start tracking students into very specific areas before they have a chance to even know what it is they want to do, then I think it's a problem. So I do have some concerns about that.
I've talked to our superintendent, and the schools here are obviously good. I believe second in the state, and maybe first. I guess it depends on how you measure them, maybe. I don't believe that he needs political interference. Washington does not believe that, of course. They like political interference, part of what they do. So I'm sure that he will be studying this, and he will have an opinion about it that would be much better than mine. And whatever we need to do to move forward and to keep the Clinton schools good, I'm sure he will do. He's done an excellent job. I don't think there's any argument about that. And I'm sure that he will continue to do that. And he has the school's best interest and the kids. Thank you.
I don't totally understand the Common Core type curriculum, but I know that you have private schools and you got individuals that are homeschooled, and I'm sure that's going to affect them. I'm sure negatively. So I think it's just, for me, I need to do more research and find out more about the Common Core. If it's anything like No Child Left Behind, to me that's terrible. So a lot of people like it, but I thought it was, because a lot of children got left behind. They said No Child Left Behind. What they did, if a child was struggling, well, they found a way to get that child off the road, off the books on the schools. So that child got left behind anyway. So that just to keep up with the federal standard. I'm not for anything that forces our educators, our teachers, to do something to keep to a standard. and not really take time with the life that's in that school. Thank you.
I am for very little that comes out of Washington, D.C., and I see no reason to pull any punches on that, and I don't think they know what's best for Clinton. I think Clintonians know what's best for Clinton, and I believe in a bottom-up government. In other words, the smaller or the closer you are to government, the better it is. Now, having said that, I'm not running for school superintendent. We have a very capable and qualified school superintendent, some great administrators. We have people who know that job. They know the advantages and the disadvantages, and I think the best thing the city can do is to assist the schools in any way they ask, as we always have, but to not try to get involved and dictate to them how any of this should go on. I think that should be left up to the school administration and Dr. Birchfield, and I think that they've done an excellent job thus far, and I see no reason to think they wouldn't continue to do an excellent job.
Common Core is not an initiative that comes out of Washington, that comes out of the state, national, the federal Department of Education, or from the current president's administration. Common Core comes out of the National Governors Association, and it is intended to put students on the same level from state to state to state, and to make them competitive internationally with students in Europe and Asia. So I support Common Core, and more than that, our school district is the envy of every other public school district in Mississippi, and we need to keep it that way, and I'm committed to that. We cannot keep it at the top by staying the same. We've got to progress. I have complete faith in our school board, because we've had high-quality school board appointments over a long period of time, and that's what made us successful. And I'm committed to keeping that high quality in our school board members. And they're the experts, and I rely on them for those decisions.
Want to take this question, sir? Are we going to have a glass recycle place in Clinton? And what about tennis courts in Kids Park?
Sorry, I was distracted.
Are we going to have a glass recycle place in Clinton? And what about tennis courts in Kids Park?
Okay, of course glass is not a part of the current recycle program, because it is picked up altogether. Paper, plastic is picked up, and cardboard, which is the only profitable recycled material, because if glass breaks in the process and put shreds of glass in paper or cardboard, that's not usable, no longer usable. So that's why it's not done. We could have a glass recycle program if that was a demand, but only about 48% of our citizens participate in a current recycle program. So we'd have to really put on an initiative to do that. And so I would be in favor of that. And what was the second part of the question?
What about a tennis court?
Oh, tennis courts at Kidstown. We have 2 tennis courts in the area of Kidstown Playground. Of course, they're not very usable because of the soil conditions there. We could look at rebuilding those. But we have an excellent tennis facility at our family park in Brighton. And we have adult and children's programs there. And we have a tennis professional there. So it is a good facility for tennis from our community.
Well, I'm guessing the tennis court is a funding issue, so we can basically leave it at that. The city does not have any extra money. I think we're $2,700 in the hole this year, which is obviously not significant, but it still is in the wrong direction. So we're probably not looking for other things to do, spend money on. But I think part of amenities, tennis courts are a good thing. When we have the money to be able to fund those, to build some, certainly look at that. Recycling, I'm not sure how that's done here, if it's run by the garbage companies or by the city or whatever. But glass is recycled in California. successful it is, but it is recycled there. So I was wondering why it wasn't. But as Tony said, I don't think it's a tremendous need or something that we're going to regret or go whoopee about. Recycling is obviously the way to go, but we do need to, everybody needs to help with that. Thank you.
Recycling. Since we say 48%, I actually didn't think it was that many, but I do recycle myself. But we do need to get everyone more aware of the importance of recycling, and if we do that, then we can take the numbers above 48%. What was the other part of that question? Tennis courts. Okay, the tennis courts at Kidstown Park. I used to play tennis over there at Kidstown Park. It would be nice if they could be, resurfaced or something to be done with them, because a lot of people, if you drive by there, you see a lot of cars on the street. So a lot of people do utilize that park. So I think it would be a good thing to upgrade those tennis courts there, because they are in use. Brighton Park has a nice facility, and my neighborhood has nice tennis courts. So whatever we can do to upgrade it, I think we should. Thank you.
I'm such a big picture person that I always try to see the big picture, and I do think whether you're talking about recycling or whether you're talking about tennis courts, again, you've got to see the big picture of what you want for Clinton and try not to get down in the weeds too much about details. I think if we can stay focused on the big picture of what we want Clinton to look like, how we want the city to be 5 years, 10 years down the road, those things like recycling and tennis courts, I think will all become part of that plan. And, I just really feel like that, as important as those things are to us as individuals, whether we recycle or not, or whether we play tennis or not, that hopefully as we ponder the future of Clinton over the coming months and years, we will look at it in a big picture way and try to create a plan that will incorporate all of these things.
I believe that recycling should include glass if there's a market for it. And I believe that the companies that do the recycling will tell us if there's a market for it. And if there's a market for it and we can get a glass plant here, I'm all for that too. Because that means jobs, and that's a good thing. Now, on one of my trips in the military to Japan, I found out that they had different color bins for paper, plastic, and glass. And I also found out that if you put paper in the plastic accidentally, because you don't know the color combination, then a Japanese lady will come up to you and talk to you in all kind of words that you don't understand, but she'll be very emotional about it. And I look forward to the day when we do get to recycling to that point, where we're doing that and where there are markets for it. The tennis courts. I think that if we're going to have tennis courts, they need to be playable, and they need to be repaired or gutted and rebuilt. I think that we should have facilities throughout the city for people to enjoy. And tennis is a very popular sport. So there should be multiple places to play tennis. And I think that same idea is why I came to in talking about small parks throughout the walking trails in town.
I hope I haven't asked this question already. I'm trying to shuffle there. To keep from having to burden homeowners with more taxes, what do you think are ways to generate revenue? And I think we'll let Dr. Garrett start.
Economic development. I know we've said that so many times tonight, but if we want to build the base, the budget in Clinton, we have got to have economic development, and it's got to start with industry. We have got to go out and pursue business and industry for Clinton. And I believe the mayor's got to be the point person for that. I think we have to have a professional economic developer, but the mayor has got to have a passion for that, and the mayor has got to have contacts and connections and be willing to go out and pursue business and industry for Clinton. And again, we've got to have a culture in Clinton that's business friendly and customer service oriented, and that applies to every aspect of city government in Clinton. We are hearing too much about businesses who are drawn to Clinton and then spend the next 2 years trying to work through all the red tape. And you can do that. You can create a business-friendly customer service culture in your city.
Well, economic development is the way to build revenue. I have extensive experience in economic development. I've served on the community level, the county level, the multi-county level, and even in a role in the state development agency level. So I think the mayor should be the point person, but not the developer. We do need a full-time industrial economic developer in this community. Another thing that we need is a public relations or communications officer that goes hand in hand with that program. We need to promote our city internally so our citizens know what we're doing, and we need to promote our city externally to our prospects and to residents in this area that we could get to attract them to move here. So that includes, that's 2 parts of my economic development plan is on that line. Now we need to focus on target industries. We need to decide what industries we're going after. And I've already mentioned that I believe that healthcare is a booming industry. We ought to look at ways that we can attract health firms here to boost our revenue. Thank you.
You read the plan again.
To keep from having to burden homeowners with more taxes, what do you think are ways to generate revenue?
Okay, we've all talked about economic development. I talked to you earlier about the belief that industrial and retail development is a strong path to get us there. We need to have companies coming into our industrial park, and they need to be providing 200, 500, 1,000 jobs for people to come in so that people can stay here in Clinton or move to Clinton, buy a house, and become part of our economic system here in town. I think that we've got to do that, and we've got to do that, we've got to go sell the city. We've got to go sit down with people and say, look, don't look at that 2, 5, and 10 mile circle that everybody looks at. We need to look at a half moon. We need to look at what Clinton offers. Not many cities in America can say we've got a 25,000 population and we don't have a place to go buy a necktie, a shirt, a pair of pants, dress, things like that. And Walmart, okay. But, Sunday clothes. I think that when you talk about economic development and you talk about the need for it, the mayor has to be actively involved in it, and I think the mayor has to take a leadership role in it.
Yes, I agree with my other friends here that we need to develop economically. So we need through business growth, okay, through job creation, instead of trying to tax our residents that's already here, that's already overtaxed. Some of them feel like they're overtaxed now. I am. Yeah, so if we go and try to bring in new business, like you said, go out and get them. Some say you target. If we start a campaign, and sometimes it could be a media campaign, to sell the city, okay? Then, and let people know, come here. I've seen brochures from different cities, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and Mobile, Alabama. People sending out these brochures about their city. We need to do the same thing. We need to get some brochures together and something to promote our city. Tell people abroad who we are and how we are. Thank you.
Well, we do have economic development department, which I think has done a very good job considering the economy generally I mean, we do have the Tractor Supply store, which is my new favorite store in town. Blue Rooster Restaurant, which is my new favorite restaurant in town. Other things too. There's a CVS going. There's a new Dollar General, I think. Hungry Howie's is my new favorite pizza place in town. So they have been doing well. If you look at the website of the city, it has a lot of information. It has basically everything that everyone said. If you're looking to locate here, it has all kinds of information for that. And the economic people go out and get it. So the mayor is definitely someone that should maybe talk to the definite maybe people that are somewhat interested, and maybe we can swing them to our side. But I don't think the mayor is someone who can spend 100% of the time on the phone calling people up and trying to get them to come here. Thank you.
In the interest of time, we have 2 questions directed for Mr. Fisher. Would you like each one separately, or would you want me to tell you what both of them are?
Whatever's easiest to do.
Well, I'll give you both of them, and one at a time, though. And then I have one general question at the end, so we may go a little over our 8:30 time. The first question, Mr. Fisher, you have voted 3 times for expansion of a landfill on Clinton's southern doorstep and against the interest of nearby residents of Clinton. Why should a resident of College Hills vote for you?
Words mean things. And when a county puts something in writing, then it's up to the officials of that county to adhere to the policies of the county. So it'll take longer than a minute to answer this question, but let me just say this. In 2007, a public hearing was held, and nobody showed up in opposition. At that public hearing, people were told by the DEQ and engineers that that facility would have to expand. I have the minutes of that meeting. Letters were signed by all the mayors in Clinton, or in Hinds County, including the mayor of Clinton, saying we support the solid waste plan. And finally, the DEQ approved it and became county policy when the board voted unanimously to support that. Now, to come back and tell a business that is legally operating to the rules of the DEQ, to the policies of the county, and within the confines of the state of Mississippi, that they can't expand when they've already been told, according to the minutes, that they could expand, and it's in our policies that they can expand, is arbitrary and capricious. Anybody in public office who will take their information, their own policies, and then not listen to them or not adhere to them, is going to destroy economic development in this town. Because nobody will believe you and nobody can trust you. The words you say are hollow. And it's important that you understand words mean things. You have to change the policy if you don't like it. But it is what it is. Now, in the 2 weeks before that vote, I was in the mayor's office twice, and I was on the phone with her 3 times. Not once did that issue come up. Not a single alderman called me and said, hey, heads up, there's been a change in your thought. We want to talk to you about a different direction. Not a single one. So when I voted on that matter, I voted by what was the law, because if I'm going to go up there and represent in this case, there was going to be a lawsuit. And Faircloth was going to sue the county, or the citizens were going to sue Faircloth. If I was Faircloth's lawyer, I'd lay 4 documents on that table to the judge. First, I'd lay the minutes to the meeting that showed that there was a properly held public hearing and that no one showed up in opposition. Second, I would lay all 100% of the mayors who signed a letter saying we support this plan. Third, I would lay the county policy on the table that says this is what they can do. And fourth, I'd lay all the lawsuits that have been brought against them, and they have won, the landfill has won, including the one that says they can expand from border to border. You can't be arbitrary and capricious. You can't make this stuff up. Words mean things, and when you put it in writing, you have to adhere to it, or you're going to lose all credibility.
So you have to do it.
We allowed you a few extra seconds. Thank you. I'm sorry to rush you. At the League of Women Voters debate, Mr. Fisher stated that he was surprised that someone wrote him about needing ADA compliance. I was surprised that he and his correspondent were surprised. Would you please comment?
No, I think you misunderstood the whole issue. What I said was that the city of Clinton in 2007 approved a subdivision, 3 plats. In October of last year, the city then wrote a letter to that company, and I have the letter, and it said you got to go with 8-inch lines now instead of 6-inch lines at your expense. Then in March, they wrote a letter and said, okay, now not only do you have to add the 8-inch lines, now you got to go 88 compliant on the sidewalks and on the street, which means you have to redraw all your plans. The issue is this, those two letters right there mean that the price of a lot in phase 2 go up $6,000 a lot because of government intervention. $6,000 a lot. And I think that's a problem, especially when they're the only people being required to do it. And so I question that. I question whether the issue is whether or not the city should interfere with the private sector. And I don't think the city should. The subdivision was agreed upon in 2007. I was still on the board of Alderman in 2007, and I voted on that subdivision. And that's the rules that they should operate under, and that's the rules that they should be allowed to build under and to complete their project under. If you change the rules and you start adding money at their expense, you're going to eventually break them, or they're going to discourage people from coming. And let me tell you something. I have been told by many contractors in this town that it's easier to do business in Madison than it is to do business in Clinton. And they're leaving here by the droves. And I've had business owners tell me directly, look me right in the eye and say, I've had people call me and talk about coming to Clinton, and I told them to go somewhere else. We've got to change that environment, and we've got to stop burdening companies with throw-on requirements and regulations. Votes mean things just like words, and we as leaders have to think these things through, and we have to understand the second and third level effects of what we vote on when we do. Thank you.
Okay, this is going to
have time to rebuttal to what you just said.
if you think.
That was addressed just again.
Mr. Fisher is really good at spinning information. And concerning the mayor's letter about the participation in the solid waste plan, that was written in 2007 as building documentation to pass the solid waste plan that the county didn't have at that time. The letter was written in March. The plan was adopted in May. The mayor did testify at the hearing about the expansion of a Faircloth landfill. There was testimony given at the county's advisory zoning board about whether to issue a conditional use permit for that facility to operate to expand its landfill. The county advisory board voted no. There were 2 supervisors that were strongly opposed to that conditional use. And on the first vote, there actually were 3 that voted, so it didn't pass. A week later, 1 supervisor flipped their vote, and it passed. So it is in the courts. It didn't matter which side won; it can go to court, and it's in court now. But the mayor did testify that was not the appropriate use of that land, was to expand it as a county landfill. There were Clinton residents there that testified, the same ones that were at the advisory board hearing. Mr. Fisher completely disregarded the Clinton residents and the mayor and voted twice to support that landfill. It is an issue. It is one that I don't support. And if I'm mayor, I will revisit that if I can. It's not really the mayor's decision or the city's decision. It's because it's on county property. Now, concerning ADA compliance, ADA is a federal law. It is what it is. And every city must enforce that ADA requirement to have their streets at a 5%, no more than a 5% grade, and their sidewalks at a 5% grade. It's enforced in all the cities that I'm aware of in this urban area. It enforces that ADA. You know, when you start to develop property, rules change sometimes, not by the city, but other agencies. It might be DEQ, it might be like the ADA. But the cities must comply, and the rules sometimes have to change, and so I do believe in enforcement of those federal regulations.
We had two questions that addressed specific businesses coming to Clinton, and I just thought I'd try to combine them into one. One said that the Target wanted to build here, but the mayor had said that they had to comply to a certain building code. Someone else mentioned something about having, I think it was a pottery barn here. Our question is, do you think that we should limit buildings to a specific building code, or should we go ahead and reopen negotiations with these companies such as Target? I'll let you start.
Well, Target did plan to put a store in Clinton in the mid-2000s, and those plans crashed when the U.S. economy crashed in 2008. They plan to put a store in Madison. That hasn't happened yet. Target withdrew their rapid development growth, and they withdrew to developing a certain number of stores across the country and only in major urban areas. So that's what happened to Target. Pottery Barn would be welcomed in this community. But we do have the International Building Code, and we do require that anybody that builds commercial, anybody that builds residential has to abide by that code. We've adopted that code, and that's the one that we use. And so I do believe in those codes.
I do believe that we need a department store in Clinton, and I've been talking about that a long time. Whether it's a Kohl's or a Target or a Steinmart or whatever it is, we desperately need a department store in Clinton. And I do believe that that is very possible. I've already had one conversation with Kohl's department store, and they are very open to that. They already have a plan in place for the next couple of years now that the economy has begun to develop again. But they are very interested in talking to us here in Clinton. So I do think that is very possible. I also think that you certainly do have to have building codes and regulations in order to conform to certain standards. But again, I think if you have a business-friendly customer service environment, then those companies that are being told no can still be advised by the city, we'll work with you, we'll try to get through this.
I'm not really sure what the building code issue would be. I mean, everybody pretty much uses the same building code. What is it, Universal Building Code? I know that some cities add to that. Cities are usually a little more strict than counties. I don't know the specifics of anything that Clinton would have that would be whatever, inappropriate or outrageous. I do remember reading in the paper that when Fred's got hit by the tornado and they were rebuilding it, that they said that this time they were going to pour a foundation. So I thought that was good. But we do need building codes. Building codes are for safety, for everybody's safety. Sprinklers and structural. Thank you.
Give me the question.
The question is sort of, would you be in favor of getting Target or Pottery Barn here without forcing them to change their appearance, and would you be willing to renegotiate? Would you be willing to rekindle the negotiations?
Oh, yes, I would definitely. I would be willing to do that. And as far as their appearance, we're Clinton. We have our own identity. We're not interested in trying to look like Madison or any other city. So, I'm all for bringing a department store or Kohl's or whatever to the city. And I think because we have that Walmart, a lot of cities that you go in, there's a Sam's wholesale right next to the Walmart. I think we can bring the Sam's wholesale. I think the chances are good because of the Walmart there. And that would create a number of jobs. So there's a lot we can do, and I'm all for it. I'm not against any economic development.
I don't know that the city's requirement on any department store has ever been more so than on one store than another. It's the same regulation across the board. So if it's hard for one store to open here, it would be hard for all stores to open here. So I don't know that I buy the premise that a store was picked out by the administration and said, I'm going to make it harder on you, or I'm going to make you a different standard. I think that there were probably other issues involved more deeply than that. I think it's something that we need to go back and relook. I think the thing that we've missed, though, in this time is that during this down economy time, we have not been out trying to sell the city. We've been waiting for people to come to us. And the problem is that we've lost years now of being able to go out and plant seeds and maybe start to grow things when the economy does come back. And we've got to regain that momentum now, and we've got to go out and decide. But once again, as many of us have said, it all gets into deciding the direction you want to go, the city you want to be, and what you want to have here, and then we go after that, and we work hard at it as a community to bring these things in.
We're going to give you a minute to sort of collect yourself, because we're going to ask you to go first. Okay? And then we're just going to move down the line. We're going to give you 2 minutes to give your closing remarks, because the library does have to close at 9 o'clock. So we'll start with Mr. Fisher. We'll just go straight down the line.
Well, once again, I thank all of you for being here tonight. I hope you've heard some interesting views and some different thoughts from people about how things should be done. This campaign that I've run, I've tried to do an issues-oriented campaign. If you go to my Facebook page or my web page, you'll find that I've gone into issues, specific issues, and I've talked about those issues, either by message to the people or by video, in order to tell you not only what I'd like to do, but the second and third levels of where I'd like to take it. I believe you have that right to know. I believe that the next mayor, who's going to lead us into the next 20 years, needs to start planning 20 years ahead. They need to start looking at the things that we're going to need to have and where we're going to need to have them in order to start that building process or that planning process to get us to that point. And I think that we as candidates should spend our time talking positively about our city and about our own campaigns. And we should spend our times, I believe, talking about what we're going to do for Clinton and not what they think others have or haven't done. And that's the way I'm going to wage my campaign. It's the way we did it from the very beginning. And I'm very proud of that. I would urge all of you to go to my webpage, philfisherformayor.com, and I would ask you to look it over, and I would to look at the issues. Pick up the phone and call me, 601-573-5049, and ask me any questions that you may have. I'd love to visit with you and to talk about it. Together we can do anything in this town we choose to do. We can do anything we want to do. We just have to get together and do it. And I thank you for the opportunity tonight, and I ask for your support on May 7th in the Republican primary.
Well, I said at the outset that we need to talk about some real issues about voting records and about engagement records. Mr. Fisher has talked about being transparent in this campaign. But he hasn't told you that on 3 occasions as already, 1997, 2003, and 2007, he voted against funding city services and he voted against funding public education in this community. He voted on city services not to fund police and fire services and street paving. He voted against our school district 3 times. He voted against our children and our teachers. He needs to be transparent about that. We've already talked about his voting record on the landfill. And then, Ms. Garrett, I respect your years of service on the IHL board and with the Nurses Association. We've been in this campaign for 6 to 7 months, and Mrs. Garrett has not attended one Board of Alderman meeting or a work session, and we have 2 meetings a month and 1 work session. So think about the qualifications.
You still have another minute.
Oh, thank you. We still think about the qualifications of each candidate. And I have faithfully served this community for 16 years, and I've always voted for city services, and I've always voted for our school district. I'm the only candidate that has true qualifications and experience to seek this office. And I'm the only candidate for mayor who can walk into the mayor's office on July the 1st and do the business of this city and move the city forward. The mayor's office is no place for zero passion and on-the-job training. So I ask for your support and I ask for your vote on May the 7th. Thank you for listening.
Again, thank you very much for coming tonight. Clinton truly is at a crossroads. And we can either move dramatically forward or we can maintain the status quo and move backwards, because that's what it's going to mean. But it is going to take transformational, big picture leadership to get that done. It's going to take someone who has had state and national experience to get that done. Someone with contacts on the state and national level, who's lobbied on the state and national level, and who has a big picture understanding of how to take a city and get it to where it needs to go. Now, my opponent is right. I have not had city government experience, but I truly believe that my experience, both on the state and national level, managing the 8 public universities in this state, all of which are the size of small cities and have many of the functions of cities, and managing a large nonprofit representing 39,000 nurses in the state of Mississippi, having been a school teacher, having been a businesswoman, all of those experiences, I think, will help take Clinton to where we need to go. The governor doesn't have on-the-job training. No governor comes into office with on-the-job training. Neither does the President of the United States. What you need is leadership skills. And I believe that I have not only the experiences on the state and national level, but I have the leadership skills and the leadership style to take Clinton where it needs to go. And you've got to have a collaborative, congenial spirit to do that too. And I believe that that will help us move forward too. Please vote for me on May the 7th. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you for the library for hosting us. One of my slogans is think Clinton first, which I think is very important. I think we need to shop here if we can. We need to eat out at restaurants here if we can. Do other things, our recreation, go to movies, everything that we can do here. And I do think that Clinton does that very well, and I think that we can do better. I think that we do need to revisit the no alcohol on Sunday if we want other restaurants to come. I'm sure that is an issue for them. It's not going to be a guarantee, but I'm sure it is an issue for them. We need to do that. Another one of my slogans is VMS LLC, which is also my license plate. It's Voices Making Sense, which I believe that I do, listening to and leading Clinton. It's not a one-man band. Mayor is not king. I need everybody's help to move Clinton along. That's why I want everyone to be able to come to a Board of Aldermen meeting and be able to say their piece. How many people here have been to an Alderman meeting? Okay. Yeah. Well, it's not too interesting as a spectator sport because you're not allowed to say anything and every vote's unanimous. So you pretty much know how it's going to come out. But the Clinton is a very nice place to live. We do a lot of things very well. We can improve. I think anybody can improve. Everybody can improve. I promise to leave alone people that are doing good. The schools, obviously. I believe the police chief. I believe the fire chief. If you call the fire department, I'm not going to go drive the truck. If you call the school superintendent, I'm not going to tell him how to teach the classes. That's not what I want to do. I want all of us together to to move Clinton forward. I want the city to do what the citizens want to do, not what a few individuals want to do. I want to replace personalities and the way things are done with processes. So everybody has equal access to all city services. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Man, it would be cool to drive a fire truck though. But I believe I have the experience, the expertise to know how to galvanize people and get people to work together. I've done that in our churches. And I have a lot of good ideas and plans for the progression of our city. And I think that makes me the best candidate. You know, I'm not as pretty as Ricky, but I think I'm better than everybody else. But I do want the opportunity to show you what I can do for our city. I love Clinton, and I know you love Clinton, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here either. So, because we all together love this city, let's get together and make it better than what it is. Thank you.
Well, that was good. I hope that you have learned some things tonight, and I hope that you've enjoyed yourselves. Thank you again for coming. Let me tell you before we go that Jackson Jambalaya has taped this and will be available on the internet in the next day or so. If you're interested in that, it's jacksonjambalaya.com. Does anybody have any announcements before we close the meeting?
Library about to close.
Thank you for coming. They're going to want us out of here soon.
And we're going to want to get out of here. What's interesting